Pope Francis. Okay, yeah. Most people know the name. He's everywhere, a real global figure.
Absolutely. Hard to miss.
But for this deep dive, we really want to get, well, beyond just the headlines, you know?
Go debuff.
Exactly. We've got some fascinating details here, and our goal really is to pull out some of the less known bits of his life story.
The formative stuff.
Right. The things that really shape him, the context. So you, our listener, can get a much richer, more sort of nuanced picture of who Pope Francis actually is.
Yeah, I think that's key. Because just looking at the papacy itself,
Mhm.
you miss the journey. And understanding Jorge Mario Bergoglio before he was Pope Francis, that's where the really interesting insights are, I think.
Okay, so let's dive in. For you listening, let's start right at the beginning. His birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. That was December 17th, 1936.
And straight away, something interesting, his background. Strong Italian roots.
Yeah, both parents. Mario Jose Bergoglio, he was an accountant, worked for the railway, and Regina Maria Sivori, a housewife. Both Italian immigrants.
Which, tells you something right there. A family navigating maybe two cultures, Argentine and Italian.
Definitely. And he was the eldest, right? One of 5 kids.
Eldest of 5.
Yeah.
And from what we understand, a pretty traditional middle-class family.
Which kind of counters any idea that he was, destined for the church from day one, immersed only in religion.
Absolutely not. It sounds quite grounded, actually.
And here's a detail I find fascinating. His education before the seminary.
Oh, yeah?
He went to a technical school, actually qualified as a chemical technician.
No kidding. Chemical technician.
Yeah. So, think about that. A whole other potential life path, not just religious studies from the get-go.
That really is interesting, a technical background. It suggests a certain practicality, a way of thinking grounded in a material world.
Right. How might that maybe subtly influence how he approaches things even now, even spiritual matters?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? That blend of the practical and the spiritual.
And then something really major happened when he was quite young, age 21.
Ah, the health issue.
Yeah, a really severe lung infection. It actually led to removing part of his right lung.
Which is huge, especially at that age. That's got to change your perspective on, well, everything. Life, vulnerability.
For sure, a profound experience, but clearly it didn't stop him from his eventual path.
No, it certainly didn't deter him. A defining moment, maybe, but not a detour in the end.
So fast forward a bit, 1958, that's when he entered the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. And then, after years of study and formation, ordination as a priest in 1969.
And the Jesuits, they have a particular reputation, don't they?
They really do. Known for intellectual focus and also a lot of missionary work globally.
Exactly. A strong emphasis on both intellectual pursuits. Education is huge for them, and active service. Social justice work.
And Bergoglio himself, within the order, he held some pretty significant roles before becoming a bishop.
Yeah, he wasn't just starting out. He was novice master, taught theology.
And was even rector of the Colegio Maximo de San Miguel.
Right. So clear leadership, intellectual engagement within the church structure. This is well before the hierarchy progression we know later.
Good point. So that path to the papacy, it wasn't sudden. He moved up through the ranks. Auxiliary Bishop of Buenos Aires, that was 92.
Then Archbishop in 98.
And made a cardinal by Pope John Paul II in 2001. And there's another detail from that time as cardinal that really says something about him, his lifestyle.
Oh, yeah, the simplicity aspect.
Very austere, apparently. Lived in just a small apartment, cooked his own meals.
Which is, well, it's quite a contrast to the image many might have of a cardinal, isn't it?
Definitely. It speaks volumes about his personal values, maybe. A deliberate choice.
A choice for simplicity, maybe staying connected to everyday life. It sends a strong message, I think. Maybe a critique of perceived church extravagance, a return to basics.
That makes sense. Then we get to March 13th, 2013, the big day.
The conclave after Benedict VI resigned.
Exactly. He's elected the 266th Pope. And this election was historic for 3 main reasons highlighted here.
Okay, what are they?
First, he's the first Jesuit pope.
Which, as we were saying, brings that specific Jesuit focus, intellectual, service-oriented, right to the very top.
Second, the first pope from the Americas, specifically Latin America.
Huge. A massive shift, really. Bringing a whole different regional perspective, experiences from the global south, into the Vatican in a way that hadn't happened before.
Absolutely. And third, the name he chose. He's the first pope to take the name Francis.
And that wasn't accidental, was it? A very deliberate choice.
Very deliberate, honoring St. Francis of Assisi.
And St. Francis represents, well, so much. Voluntary poverty, a deep love for nature, creation.
Commitment to peace.
Right. So choosing that name, Francis, it was like laying out a mission statement from day one, wasn't it? Simplicity, social commitment, concern for the poor, the environment. It's all packed in there.
Yeah, a powerful symbol. And that theme of maybe doing things differently continued with where he chose to live.
Oh, not the papal apartments.
No, he opted for the Casa Santa Marta, the Vatican guest house.
Which again reinforces that message, right?
Yeah.
The reasons given, wanting a more communal life, staying in closer contact with people, it fits the Francis theme. Less isolation, more connection.
It does. And speaking of connection, in our very modern world, he's kept using Twitter.
The @Pontifex account, yeah. Started by Benedict, but Francis really ran with it.
And it's amazing, really. Messages going out in multiple languages: Spanish, English, Italian, Portuguese, French, Arabic.
Reaching millions directly.
Little spiritual thoughts, prayers, calls for peace, solidarity.
It shows a real grasp of modern communication, using the tools available to get the message out there globally.
And it's not just online communication, is it? His travel schedule has been intense.
Oh, incredibly busy. Over 50 countries visited across all continents.
And these trips, they seem to have clear goals beyond just ceremony.
Definitely. Strengthening the church in different regions, yes, but also things like interreligious dialogue, which is huge for him.
Addressing international bodies.
And very importantly, visiting places hit by conflict or disaster or facing deep inequality. Those visits carry a lot of weight, symbolically and practically.
And for listeners wanting to understand his core teachings better, there are some key documents mentioned.
The encyclicals and exhortations.
Right. Evangelia Gaudium Joy of the Gospel back in 2013. That was about evangelization today.
Sharing faith in the modern context.
Then the really famous one, Laudato Si' Ad, in 2015.
On care for our common home. The environmental encyclical. Hugely influential.
Absolutely. And more recently, Fratelli Tutti in 2020 about fraternity, social friendship.
Yeah, these big documents tackle major contemporary issues, grounded in church teaching, but speaking to, well, everyone.
And across all his work, these documents, speeches, homilies, some clear themes keep coming up, don't they?
They really do. You see it consistently. Care for the environment, obviously.
Yeah.
Poverty and social exclusion, a huge focus.
Interreligious dialogue, we mentioned that. Reform within the church itself.
Migration, refugees, forced displacement, another constant theme. And even the challenges of modern technology, the ethics around it.
It's a very pastoral approach, isn't it? Focused on action, on how these big ideas play out in people's lives.
Very much so. Pastoral and action-oriented.
So where are we now? Bringing it to the present day, or close to it. As of 2025, he's 88.
And Pope for over 12 years now.
And naturally, there's a lot of public focus on his health. We see reports sometimes about limitations on his activities.
This is understandable. Given his age and the sheer demands of the role, it's relentless.
But the information we have indicates he's still very much leading the Vatican.
Oh, yes. Still active, still appointing bishops, cardinals, shaping the future leadership of the church. His influence continues.
So wrapping this up for our listeners, what this deep dive really shows, I think, is that Jorge Bergoglio's path to becoming Pope Francis wasn't straightforward. It's full of these unexpected twists and really key experiences.
Absolutely. From that Italian immigrant family background, the technical school surprise,
Overcoming that serious lung issue.
the deliberate choice of the Jesuits, and then that incredibly symbolic name, Francis.
Yeah, each piece adds another layer, doesn't it? It helps you build a much fuller picture than just, the Pope waving from the balcony.
Exactly. Understanding that history, that context, it lets you see beyond the public persona and get a sense of the experiences that likely inform how he leads and what he prioritizes today.
And it really leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? Thinking about that background, the practical training, the family roots, overcoming that major health crisis so early on. How might those things still be shaping his perspective, his approach to leadership on the world stage right now?
Bro.
Definitely something to chew on.